another Linux GameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Steam has changed the review system. Again. But for once, it's not on fire. And Good Guy Epic spreads the love, because money equals love, right? Oh, that's what I was told.
Feral divides Linux gamers with a single question. Is Deus Ex going to come out in 2017, or will it be cancelled? And CryEngine gets Vulkan support. So does that mean I can play Snow at resolutions higher than 720p?
That's wishful thinking right there. That Rocket League beta gets an update. Still crashes faster than a toothless hooker on meth. And details about the 1080 Ti leak. Much to the surprise of no one.
I'm Vin Stone here at LGC Actual, switching the bits, doing this nightmare fuel all under the Linux sauce, joined every week by intergalactic space Canadian.
I'm intergalactic, and I forget the fucking lyrics to that Beastie Boys.
And all the way from Space Portugal, Pedro Monteas, helping us celebrate National Hispanic Month, and together with Chat Realm Dynamic, forming that last little but most important bit of Cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, we'd like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. Yesterday, I believe it was, Mr. Foxdog, a fantastic Patreon of ours, decided, you know what, Vin, you bitch, you got to play some Rocket League. Quit putting it off. And I was like, damn it. I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have a good excuse. So I played it, kind of liked it. Definitely going to talk a bit more about it. Jordan.
Oh, well, I spent the last week recovering from my back injury, lying on a hot sock, which was my only friend for about 5 days. And while I was doing that, I got stuck into a BSG hole. So previously on Battlestar Galactica, this.
Well, around here, I've been perusing the World Wide Webs looking for a cheapo laptop because my netbook is officially dying and I can't really put it off any longer. I need something I can take with me and it's reliable and not slow. So yeah, cheapo laptops. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments.
That's something we definitely should do, but not before we check in with a horse.
Yeah, see, the horse is really picky about who it's listening to these days. You got to give it its cut if you're going to want to get its ear. It's the Steam Update.
More updates to the Steam customer review system. What did they change? Well, the big, important, nasty, grimy thing that they've changed is Steam purchases versus key activations. You see, if somebody sends you a review copy, or if you buy a Humbly Bundly or Indie Gala or anything like that, you're going to get a Steam key. And if you go back and you redeem that key on the Steam store, well, you do own the game. But now, if you try to leave a review, Jordan, I don't think it counts quite as much.
No, it doesn't. In essence, what's happening is only actual... the Steam will track whether you redeemed a key via an external means or you just purchased it through their system. And if you've done the latter, then you can actually... Your review will still show up if you've activated a key via Humble, but it will only count towards the score if you purchased the thing in Steam, which is kind of a mixed blessing if you think about it, because a lot of the problems with the gray market and lots of shady game developers giving out keys for positive reviews means that there's a lot of review spam in the Steam review section. It's a little hard, especially if you're new to the whole PC gaming environment and community, to sort of sift through that garbage and come up with a decent opinion of whether or not you want to play that game based on the reviews, which of course you should be taking with a massive grain of salt. But you can actually see the reviews if you click the button, so it should filter. It mitigates some of the issues, but I think there's going to be some far-reaching consequences that we're not quite going to see until they come about.
And by default, the way it works right now is if you just go to Steam, you only see the reviews, or you only see the score at the top, right below the blurb of the game. You only see the score of the reviews which were provided by users who bought the game on Steam. So the others won't really count for the score. By default, you can actually change that if you really want to. Yeah, Ven's got a pretty good example right there. See, Vendetta has got mixed reviews. But if you scroll down, you see that they're mostly negative. Yeah, there's a lot of that, and it certainly helps curb a lot of...
Pedro? That game was flawless and perfect and the most fun I've ever had since drilling a hole in my head that one time. Where am I?
Jordan? Shut up, Jordan. You got good hardware. You just don't know how to use it. But yeah, that's the real thing here is that devs were handing out keys to get positive reviews on Steam. It's like, we'll give you the game. You leave us a good review. And a lot of people were doing that. And that's the main reason that Valve decided to implement this system. But it makes it so that other outlets like us, and other review websites who get keys from dev publishers can't really influence that Steam rating. And
well, I mean, I want to address your
what the
last
hell are you
point
talking
there.
about, man? Are you trying to tell me all of a sudden kidnapping doesn't work anymore?
Are we posting our reviews on Steam after we do them? I mean, I don't think it really impacts us as an organization that much.
Yeah, no, not us specifically, but there are a lot of people who want to try and make a name for themselves out of the Steam reviews. I don't know why, but they exist. But since we're talking about devs, the devs seem to be the ones who don't really appreciate this new system the most. Because as far as users... Go on.
Look at Pedro trying to skirt the fine copyright. That's a timely reference, right? Or fine trademark.
But yeah, you see, users themselves haven't really kind of come out en masse and said, we don't like this. Most users are going like, okay, so that's a thing now. Fine, whatever. We'll have to wait and see what the repercussions are, like Jordan mentioned. But on Gamasutra, there was actually a teeny tiny bit of an article that gathered the tweets of several developers saying stuff like, okay, so my game just went from mostly positive to mixed or to negative, and I'm not happy about that. And the devs seem to be the only ones really affected by this. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have to consider that a lot of indie devs and a lot of indie games are proliferated by these bundles and humble bundles, indie gala bundles, raffles, whatever. So, I mean, they certainly rely on them a great deal for actual purchases and, maybe reviewing the games and putting them in the Steam segment. So I understand why they're upset. But at the same time, a lot of that is, well, now we can't game our system anymore. God damn it. People are going to realize our shitty games are shit.
Yeah, I mean, most of the developers absolutely understand why this is being done. Then again, we don't know when the other chainsaw is going to drop. We were talking before the show started because we were like, okay, unintended consequences. Yes, this will definitely have it. But Pedro, I did notice that a lot of the shovelware that came out this week didn't seem to have too many reviews on it.
Yeah, there were some reviews on it, but they weren't counting towards that score that you see below the blurb because, they were all keys handed out outside of Steam. And at that point, I agree with Valve because flawed as it may be, the system works. It does, in fact, curb some of the legit reviews like third-party shop purchases and Kickstarters. Those people effectively, for all intents and purposes, paid for the game, and their opinion is about as legit as any other person who bought the actual game on Steam.
Well, and that brings up my last point was I think this is a problem in Search a Solution. Maybe there's going to be some sort of key tracking where you're going to have key origins now that will allow you to review or to leave counted reviews on Steam games. And I mean, Alexis Kennedy, one of the devs who's tweeting, brings up a good point. If there's enough outcry, Valve may roll this back. But I think we're going to see a lot more forward momentum. Don't you agree?
You might see some forward momentum, but when you say that, I mean, yes, there was. They rolled back the paid Skyrim mods and stuff like this, but this is Valve trying to get out of using humans. They don't roll back down from that. They usually double and triple down on top of that. But Jordan, I want to ask you this. I mean, if we're just being hella cynical about this, isn't this Valve effectively saying, unless we get a cut, we get a taste, it doesn't matter whether or not you like the game?
I agree, because you know what? Guess what, kids? Steam is not a democracy. It is a product by a corporation that you are using. You don't own any of the games that you purchase on Steam. You own licenses to them. So if you don't like what Steam is doing, tough titties, go somewhere else.
Yeah. And about the outcry, if you've been listening to the show long enough, you know that Valve only backtracks on something they did if there is enough of an outcry. But at this point, there isn't. There's just a couple of devs that are pissed off at it, and some shovelware quote-unquote developers who don't like it at all, but you don't see a major outcry at this point. And it really does make sense if you think about it. Steam as a storefront, they value the opinions of people who buy games on their store more than they do those other ones.
And even then, I don't think people treat Steam reviews as word of God either, because I mean, it's there as a value add, right? But you can always go to Metacritic, or you can always go to Kotaku for your 7 out of 10 Mountain Dew YOLO awards. Like if you want like impartial view, you can come to Linux Gamecast. Maybe we'll give you the real business about the games that we play, or
it's not
a number of other
completely impartial, but
But anyways, moving away from Steam controversy, how about some news that some news that isn't news? This is the big announcement from Feral Interactive. They've been teasing it. I like how Feral is basically like holding up a Deus Ex poster and slapping it in people's faces and going, guess what we're releasing, huh? We're not going to tell you. We're not going to tell you. And lo and behold, they have their page up for Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which is a game I'm looking forward to. And they say it's coming later this year. What do you think that means, Ben?
Well, first of all, I was kind of definitely with everyone else. Like, well, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? What's it going to be? Because we were like, it can't be Deus Ex, not because it would be impossible. It was just the turbo most likely candidate. When you're sitting there, as well as a Squeenix title. They're doing all the Squeenix titles now. It's like, maybe it'll be Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Come on. Then Strider, who's in Shadow Realm, fantastic. He was like, yeah, I got that running on Luchers. I was like, of course you do. But, yeah, man, just Jack's complete lack of surprise on this one, man. And definitely with the later this year, which we love. Feral, they've been great to us, and they make good ports of good games, but you got 3 months to deliver that bread.
Could also be code for, if we can't hit our deadline, we're going to Arkham Knight this fucker. But I mean, soft release dates are so weird these days.
Did you just use Arkham Knight as a verb?
I absolutely did. Do you have a problem with that? Fight me, bro. Fight me. But I mean, release dates are. I mean, it's like a 1.0 label these days. It doesn't actually mean anything. The mercurial nature of software development means that I can release something that is 1.0 that's not even finished and will be patched, and the actual version of the game will be ready in 6 months' time. This could be delayed. It could be canceled. Who knows? It's really a best guess. And I mean, considering all the performance issues Mankind Divided was having on PC, Feral's probably going to take it upon themselves to fix it, or fix them, and we don't know how deep a rabbit hole that actually is.
No, but I was kind of shocked because Pedro was excited, nay, ecstatic about Denuvo finally getting a Linux port.
Actually, I sent new Brad, Andy is his name, the PR guy at Feral. I sent him an email asking about, the Windows version uses Denuvo, so how's that going to work for Linux? Are they making a Linux version? Are you guys bringing Denuvo to Linux? Or is the Linux version not using Denuvo at all? But he didn't reply, so we don't know. What I've seen people bitch about, though, is the telemetry that the game collects. Everything you do in game, like literally everything, button presses, cutscene or dialogue skips, etc., is sent to Square Enix. Which is probably not ironic considering the subject matter that the game is tackling.
What, transhumanism? That has totally a lot to do with privacy.
No, it's about the oppression of the people who decided to augment their body.
Yes, transhumanism.
Okay, all right, that's enough about the Kardashians. Up next, Rocket League. And there's a fix for it, right?
Rocket Man.
Yes, there is. The fine folks at Psyonix released a patch, version 1.23, which is the very first patch after the Rumble update, which also brought the Linux and Mac betas for Rocket League. And if you look at the bug fixes, you don't really see a lot regarding Linux. I mean, you don't see anything at all. It's just some pretty generic changes. That's okay. But on my end, I noticed a couple of things. The two things I complained about the most were the lack of anti-aliasing. That works now, if you really want it. And the frame rate is no longer capped to 60 FERPs, or whatever the refresh rate of your monitor happens to be. Now you can actually uncap it and it will render at as many frames as your GPU can handle. On my end, I'm running the game at QHD 3840 by 2160, downsampled to 1080p, and it manages to hold like 70, 80, 90. So it's pretty good.
I was going to say, did you say QHD or UHD? Quack, high definition.
Quadruple HD.
Howard the Duck was a good movie, and you shut your face. No, man, I tried it. Thanks to Foxy, he decided that he would prolong my suffering by throwing that key in my face. Fun game. We played around with it last night. The only thing I noticed is, we were talking before the show, is on the Ubuntu box, it starts in a minimized window, which took my clever ass a few minutes to figure. I was like, where the hell? Oh, there it is. Yeah, outside of that, it's running smooth on 980, always above 60, so no complaints.
I had one issue. It still crashes randomly, like out of the blue. If you hit, like, you finish a match, sometimes it'll just crash there. If you try to join an online match, it'll load and you can see the arena pop up and then it'll crash. And yeah, it's still crashy, but those are the two issues. At least they fixed those.
Well, crashing is better than not starting at all.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it starts, and that's about all it does. But
yeah, that's the thing. Because Worms WMD, as you may remember from our CHAIRQUISITON a couple of weeks back, or last week.
2 weeks.
Was it last week?
Oh.
Yeah.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah. That it didn't work for Jordan, and they've since released a fix. And if you look for Linux, they don't really mention it. Again,
they kind of do. There is definitely they make one mention about what it was. Game stays at the correct resolution after maximizing.
Oh yeah, it's the resolution one. Of course, they didn't fix the locale bug that Unity has. With even though this isn't a Unity game, it totally looks like one though, and the engine behaves and has the exact same bugs as some Unity 4 games do. But yeah, it's not Unity, but it has the exact same locale bug that if you have a non-English locale set in your OS, it just, some things just outright don't work. And if you hit a button on whatever controller you happen to be using, even if it's just mouse and keyboard, the game would lock up. So I have to keep the export LCL equals C and the pulse latency MSEC, because it still throws the buffer underruns if you try to start the game and you're playing a YouTube video on the other monitor. Buffer underruns up the wazoo. So I had to keep those two things in the SH file.
Now here's something I want to, because the reason it's not working for J-Man is because he's on the Fedoras for his gaming rig, which is insane. But the developers did come right back to us, and they're kind of working around looking at things, and the last thing we really heard from them after they sent us over the copies was like, we never said we supported Fedora. I mean, do you respect that decision?
Well, I mean, I have respect. I have enough respect for them because in their FAQ thread for help, they have right at the bottom in big block letters, "Attention Arch Linux users." So clearly they know what's up. But still, the fact that they don't link against the Steam runtime seems to be problematic. I mean, their release didn't fix the issue I was experiencing, which pisses me off because I want to. No,
actually, they fixed the dependency issues, and they seem to be running, or they seem to have built a new version against the Steam runtime, because good, because it's still fucking seg faults after the save screen pops up. Still seg faults on Fedora, but on Ubuntu you used to have to export the LD library path to not, so it would just
you had to do all that stuff on Fedora too. It's just on Ubuntu it worked.
Now, now you don't need that for the game to work.
So what you're saying is progress.
Maybe they'll fix it.
Baby steps.
But speaking of various boxes, there is a game out there, and it's called "What's in the Box." That sounds properly pronounced, and anyone who says otherwise is a goddamn liar. Or it's actually called "What's the Box" or "What the Box." What the box say? I don't know. It is a stealth shooter game where everyone is a cardboard box, and all the objects in the map are cardboard boxes, and you have to suss out who's real, and then kill them with a box cutter. And there's a joke there, but I'm not going to go there because that's just going to take us off.
I don't know, man. Just looking at this, what's in the online multiplayer shooter? All right, at $3.99, I was like, this is almost tempting. Just
well. Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of Screen Sheet almost, but like the first thing I thought of when I saw it was, so someone was playing Metal Gear Solid, and they thought to themselves, man, all this epic storytelling and challenging gameplay and interesting mechanics are just really weighing the series down. Let's strip it to the basics. Let's get rid of everything except the core Metal Gear Solid experience, creeping around in a box, leaving porno mags around to distract guards. And I mean, it could be fun, and for $5, it could be a decent after show.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was definitely looking at that, and the first thing I thought of and it reminded me of was that Quake 2 mod where you could play dead.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's
prop
like how
hunt.
This
is
the Spy in
prop
Team
hunt
Fortress 2.
the game. This is literally prop hunt the game.
Well, what the hell's a prop hunt?
It's a Gary's mod, as the case may be, where you get to. It's a Source Engine thing where you are just a default character and you go up to a placeable on the map like a bottle or a box, and you transform into those, and you have to blend in so the human players don't find you. This is literally that taken to the extreme. Everyone's a prop.
All right.
Yeah.
Last but not least.
Yeah. Speaking of after show bait, this is True or False, a game where you determine whether the fact on screen is true or false. I mean, I can't. That's really all I can say about this game. It starts you off with 200 questions, and if you play the shit out of it and know all the questions,
Price
you can
to
get
sell.
another.
Yeah, it's free.
It's free. It's free. You can get another 500 questions for about $3.50, depending on where you are. It was on sale earlier.
This doesn't require a processor, memory, hard drive, nothing.
1104.
No. All you need is an Ubuntu Live CD, and you can play this game. I bet you it's probably just an Electron app or like some Chrome browser web page, because it doesn't need to be more complicated.
I haven't even started it yet. I installed it, but I didn't even start it.
Well, I think we might be giving this a crack with the after show. So if you want to catch the full Monty episode, if you're watching this live, watch this live. But coming up next, NVIDIA has a new video card. Is it worth it?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stick around for the news. But before we get to that, there's some very special people we'd like to thank. The people who throw money at our...
That's right. We need lots of money because, you see, we're very financially irresponsible. Stuff that should go to hosting goes to cocaine and hookers. And so we need more money. Guys, the only way to do that, or the best way to do that, is to head on over to patreon.com/LinuxGameCast, not cocainevoltron.com. That's for the other thing. Yeah, patreon.com/LinuxGameCast, where you can subscribe to our Patreon. Even just 5 cents a show gets you access to Let's Play videos a week before they go to the Gen Pop. $2.50 an episode gets you access to the show notes, and you can comment on the show notes. So if you see something ahead of time that you don't like, or something you would like to have your little 2 cents in, you can add a comment on the show notes, and they will.
That's
be
crazy,
considered.
man. We do that.
It really is. We got some lovely videos for you as well. We got a new Trine, we got a new Left for Brad, and Ben, you've done something crazy, haven't you?
It's insane, man. What have we done? It's madness. Well, I know a lot of people like the YouTubes over the Twitch, because let's face it, the Twitch app, kind of on mobile or anywhere else, basically the video players, bit to be desired. So we've put the full Monty up on the YouTubes for your viewing pleasure. I even massaged the audio a bit to smooth it out, and it's kind of neat. So I think there's currently like 13 hours. So everything
there'll be hate mail about that
from now on will be up there. It's going to be brilliant. I just want to thank our Patreon, especially, it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
You keep us corporate free, so we're not like, oh, hail to our Lord and all that. So we can just continue with this awesome bullshittery every Saturday night. Plus, you help make Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, which unfortunately doesn't air on Tuesdays. Possible. But, Jordan, we need to give things away.
We do. We said last week you need to give your favorite soup in as a comment on Patreon for our giveaway for Serious Sam 3 Before First Encounter, or Barely Fucked Even, as I like to call it. So let's kick this off. We have 4 people who responded with their favorite type of soup. So let's go to the magic number generator from the Google Hangout thing. Go! It's a 2. Who's number 2?
2.
Ooh, reptilian brain with chicken and noodle soup.
Are you sure that's not Reptilian Brian? Has he been replaced with a lizard person? You gotta tell me, man!
No, it's actually a reptilian brain. So reptilian brain, you won. Make sure to get in touch with us. Poke us on any of the social networks.
Actually, I'll get in touch with you over the Patreons. Don't worry about it. Also, LinuxGameCast.com, Amazon links. Shop through those because we forget to.
Because we don't, because we're stupid.
Because we
Speaking of stupidity, NVIDIA has a new stupid video card. Tell us about it, stupid Pedro.
Well, it's not exactly a stupid video card. It's just I think it's on purpose now that they keep leaking the specs ahead of time. So yeah, it's the 1080 Ti, and according to the little table you're looking at on screen there, it clocks in at about 10.8 teraflops when compared to the new GTX Titan X.
It's cute. Seriously? Because they've been a slightly less crippled Quadro P6000, right?
Yeah. The new Titan X clocks in at 11 teraflops, and the GTX 1080 clocks in at 9 teraflops. So it's a little bit in the way, leaning more towards the Titan. One thing I did enjoy was the, I appreciate, not enjoy exactly, was the fact that the new memory bus size is 384-bit, which was basically default in the old Kepler series like the 780 and the 780 Ti, and that's the reason those video cards actually curb stomped the 970, was because the 970 only had a 256-bit bus. So that's good on them. The clock speed
and a quarter less RAM than the rest of the cards.
Yeah, but actually the VRAM is one of the things that seems to be about on par with the new Titan, which is 12 gigs. The memory bandwidth is a bit lower than the Titan and a bit higher than the 1080. It's about 384 gigabytes per second. I see what they did there. Clever. The base clock speed on the GPU is 1503, and the boost clock speed is 1623. So they're considerably lower than the GTX 1080 since it's 1607 base and 1733 on the boost clock. But they're actually higher than the Titan. So they're doing a little compromise. It's slower clocks, higher SM units, and CUDA cores. So I guess it evens out.
Well, I don't know. You were definitely talking about in the show notes. You're like, oh, well, they're not going to make this faster than the actual Titan X. It's like, of course not. They screwed themselves with Pascal. It's like, that NVIDIA is not going to let that happen again.
Yeah, no. It's the old Titan X and the 980 Ti were basically on par with one another. And assuming they clock the MSRP on this one appropriately, that will not be a repeat of Maxwell.
Now,
but I don't
Pedro, there's one question that we have not addressed that is super important. Can I throw more than 2 of them in SLI? Because I have about $3,000 to burn, and I want all the performance I can get on Doom 3
and Serious Sam 3. Seriously, Jordan, how could you forget
mention that? We don't.
Favorite?
Bad Pedro. No cookie for you. Go to your room. No supper.
No, this adheres to the same Pascal principle of maximum of 2 in SLI.
Of course. Because NVIDIA doesn't want all of your money. You need to be able to afford the next gen of video cards.
They have to have something that they can look at AMD and say, no, you guys do Crossfire. You can do as many cards as Crossfire as you want. We still have the fastest one.
No, well, we still have functional drivers, more like it. But anyway, speaking of lots and lots of money,
Epic Games has granted another 100,000 wet stinky caches to Unreal Engine 4 game developers because, man, I tell you what, man, no one wants any of that open source Unreal Engine 4. No, sir.
I tell you what,
man. No, man. But what is it? Right of Ilk, Research and Destroy, All Waltz, Musical Full, and Cabounce, All Right Rig, and Meg9 will split all that nonsense, and basically it's just Epic being Epic, man, because they said they were going to do this, and lo and behold, they continue to keep doing that, because initially I think they've set aside, hashtag pinky finger, $5 million for this fund to help spur UE4 adoption, which, to be perfectly honest, on one end, I don't think it needs spurring, but on the other, because we have a couple of Unreal Engine 4 games currently on Linux, Descent,
Arc,
technically a game also. All right, I'll give you that one.
That other one that didn't work very well. It wasn't Interstellar
Stormfront United. That's
yeah,
gonna.
Storm United.
Yes.
So, I'm sorry, the game formerly known as Stormfront United.
Yes,
formerly developed by the Stormfront United
boy,
team.
man, that is definitely a story right there. But yeah, adoption's good, man. They're in the business of that, and everyone's rocking and rolling.
I mean, it's a sort of a different mode of thinking than the next story we're going to cover, where instead of requesting money for the engine, Epic pays you to use their product. And I mean, handing out money doesn't hurt adoption, but I mean, Unreal Engine 4 sort of laid the fucking cards down on the table when they announced, where it's like, yeah, $20 gets you the source. And I mean, the entire source will take commits from you guys and so on and so forth. But, handing out reams of money, making it rain, will probably get a few of the people on the fence to, take the Unreal route. But, speaking of game engines, or Pedro, do you have 2 bits?
No. We can move on to the CryEngines.
Yes, the CryEngine. So, the latest version coming out, version 5.3 of CryEngine, which is coming in mid-November or so they say, is going to be having Vulkan support, with DirectX 12 support coming in 2017 at some point. They don't say when, but it's hopefully going to be in time for the 5.4 release, which would be sometime, I think, in March. But anyways, I mean...
So you're telling me that one CryEngine game on Linux Snow will be able to crash my system like 30% faster?
Well, I mean, and use more of your 1080 while doing it, right? Hammering all those cores.
All right.
I mean, like, it's a thing. And it's a smart decision to support Vulkan because it gives you access to so many platforms that people play games on, including stuff that is maybe, not the most recent, latest, and greatest Microsoft GPU products out there, Microsoft game products out there. Maybe you want to support a wider variety of people and allow them to play your hot next gen games like the new Crysis, which better fucking come to Linux. God damn it. Oh.
Pedro, do you think they're completely insane by doing the Vulkan first, as neglecting the DX12, which will totes run on my Windows phone? I think
it'll run on your
that
tablet.
They've completely discontinued. Yes. No. Vulkan really is a smarter idea because Vulkan runs on everything. And if Apple managed to get their heads out of their asses long enough to see what's going on around them.
What do you think about Soldat's point in chat realm right there? There's
Star Citizen guys. No, they're thinking about it. They're seriously considering it in the back of their minds. Right?
It will be a really, really chilly day in hell.
Star Citizen, are you talking about the same ones that said, "Oh, well, as soon as CryEngine has a OpenGL render on Linux," like there it is. They're like,
yeah, we're going to
middleware. Yeah, middleware. That's
think
the
about
answer.
it. Yes, no, middleware is totally difficult, you guys. But actually, a little call back to the previous story. The CryEngine team is actually going for a $1 million indie dev fund, which is a similar idea to what Unreal is doing. And the guys from Dreadlocks, I forgot to add this to the notes. The guys from Dreadlocks actually sent me an email earlier today that say that they're going to be applying for the $1 million indie dev fund, which means that their new game, they're the people behind Dex. You may remember Dex from not too long ago. Their new game, Ghost Theory, they're moving it from Unity 3D to CryEngine just so they can apply to the new indie dev fund. So yeah, apparently Cry is also taking some notes from Unreal, which if you're going to be taking notes from another engine that actively supports Linux, probably Unreal is the one to go. But yeah.
Oh, probably. Or no, you want to just steal all your shit from Game Maker Studio. But speaking of rendering,
Unity Ghetto.
A long-standing game. If you've ran Linux, you've fucked around with this game. IO Quake 3, the open source Quake 3 engine, is getting a graphics update. And it's really, really confusing because the thing is called the OpenGL2 renderer, but it's actually an OpenGL3 renderer. It's very, very messed up.
It has been 17 years since Quake 3 Arena shipped.
Oh, what year is it?
Yeah, check it out. Yep. Voodoo 3,
but yes,
I got a Voodoo 5 5500 right next to me. All right, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. IO Quake 3 has always had a pluggable graphics stack because the intention was to always be able to upgrade the graphics stack as time goes on. So now they're moving to this thing that has been under this guy. I forget what his name is, but he's been working on it for a while. and now it's finally main time or prime time. So newer versions of, say, Open Arena will now default to this OpenGL 3 point whatever version of the renderer.
So what does this mean, man?
What does it mean? You're going to get a little performance bump, maybe.
Okay.
The Phoronix test suite's going to have to rerun all their tests because there's a new version of Open Arena out for them to benchmark. And my question is, why not add a Vulkan renderer? Because this 17-year-old game needs some Vulkan.
Yeah, Pedro, why do you hate Vulkan?
I don't.
Why do you hate Jesus? Huh?
About IO Quake 3.
How much time do you got?
Going from October 1st, 2016, they're going to change the default IO Quake 3 to OpenGL 2. That's how behind they were.
Well, it's OpenGL 3. You can run it with OpenGL 2, but for feature completeness, you need OpenGL 3.
Yeah.
I just called it the OpenGL 2 renderer, as I stated previously, Mr. Plage Marizzo.
I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying.
Maybe you should on a podcast where there's discourse.
Never know, but somebody does, in fact, need that marketing department for their racing.
Yes, they do. This is for Ev Racers. Yeah, I see what you did there, and it was not particularly clever. Yep, that's their website. The slightly blurry backdrop you see there is mostly
their
what
web zone. Yes.
Yeah, it's mostly what the game looks like. It's not so much cell shading as it is just having no textures and turning up the Unity bloom all the way.
What's this about, Pedro? Mac and Linux builds added on request?
Yes, the request was mine specifically. Because I saw Terry post about this game on Twitter. Terry, that's Magumbo, the guy who developed Retro Booster. He shared the post that the devs made. And I'm like, okay, so it's a Unity game. Let's download it. It should work on Wine. It didn't. It was actually pulling DirectX 11 dependencies. So I'm like, okay, so can you guys just export the Linux version and I'll test it for you if you don't have a Linux partition handy. And it's like, oh, that's awesome. I really don't have a Linux partition right now, but if you could test it, that'd be awesome. So I managed to test it, and me and Terry actually managed to do a couple of laps around the track, as it were. Giggity. But yeah, no, the game works. It's it like they say in the website, it's an early development. It's very bare bones. The multiplayer works. It's cross-platform. They every now and again they'll do like a little event where you can join the multiplayer so everyone can play around. And the basis of the game itself is just a racing game where the cars have jelly instead of shocks in their suspensions.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ford Momentum.
They have a lot of that too. And yeah, no, they have jelly instead of shocks in their suspensions, and they're very top heavy. So you have to, the big thing here is trying to get the best time while accounting for the wonky physics. It's a good idea, and the game right now it's free. I don't know if they intend to monetize it at some point or not. But yeah, you can play it. You could just go to Super Smashing Great Game. Again, they really need that marketing department.
That sounds like a show we would do, man. Not even a show.
Yeah, most extreme elimination challenge. It sounds like a poorly translated Japanese product.
Oh, there's actually a new Japanese game. It's called
ultimately, I mean, you saved this development team from having to drive down to the Linux store and buy a Linux box. So LGC cares. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Listen, have you seen the hard drive prices these days?
We need to thank the fine people at Unity, another game engine that we all know and accept its existence.
Have mixed feelings about.
Natasha, it's like Guaul, man. No.
Natasha Bar.
Ben Cree.
Indeed, O'Neill. People, listen up. This is a thread about testing #SDL2 in Unity on Linux. So we should all like flip out and get excited for, I don't know, you doing something that you should have done in the first place.
Kermit GIF.
Yeah, they're finally going to go around to.
Yeah. But I mean, it's good. You know, sometimes baby needs to touch hot stove to learn not to touch hot stove. At least it's done now. So newer versions of Unity, while exporting for Linux, will be using SDL2 as their input handling. But that should be a global thing because SDL2 is just...
Yeah, I just remember by the old, the 4x comic, the guy eating cereal, and they're like, and Unity's Like, yeah, we're going to rewrite our own input handling system. It's like, that shit ain't going to work, Brad. And I was like, told you that shit wasn't going to work. You know?
Actually, what Jordan was saying about supporting SDL2 on other platforms, someone actually replied to her and said, it's like, oh, okay, so you're doing that for Linux. Can you do that for, say, exporting it on Windows? Maybe? Just saying. You know, simplify and having a unified code base. But right now, this is only available if you, like, poke Natasha on Twitter and say, like, hey, I want access to that 5.5 beta that has the SDL2 bits.
It's gonna be coming out soon. It's gonna be in the thread that they released all the regular Unity builds on. This is just she wanted to get it out in the open to deal with some of the kinks. But my question is, will it end the Unity scream of nope? The answer is no, never. It's gonna be there until the sun goes out.
What are you talking about, man? It'll have SDL2 functionality somehow, and
the only thing that will
they'll put it in there just out of spite. But it'll correctly map everything. How about
the only thing that will ever stop?
Exactly. It's going to be like this cryptic string. Everything's going to be configured correctly, but you're still going to look at it and go, what? But coming up next, we're reviewing a Game Boy game on Linux. That's exciting.
Grab your double A.
I'm going to make a promise to myself that I'm probably going to fail a keep, but I'm not going to call this ASMR2 as much as my brain wants me to. This is AMRS or AM2R.
AM2R.
The short for another Metroid 2 remake. It is, we've talked about it a bit on the show. It is a remake of Metroid 2 for the Game Boy, done in Game Maker Studio by the lovely and handsome Milton Gwazi. And it's available for free, or it was before Nintendo decided to take that down, because they don't like people making their games in a way that they can't profit from. So, it is the unofficial enhanced remake of Nintendo's Game Boy Metro 2, Return to Samus, and includes several new features, including redone graphics and music, a map system, new areas, and mini bosses. So, this is the odd time we're going to do a non-Steam game on the Chairquisition, and a free game, nonetheless. So, let's kick it off. 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means that it's meh. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good. 4 chairs means that it's awesome. We also got our categories of Doom, Makes with the Working, Shiny Sounds, Controls, and Fun. So, let's kick this off. Then did AM2R make with the working?
Yes, ASM2R blam did make with the working over here on the Ubuntu 1404 LTS box, running a 4X kernel instead of the 3X sauce. That is standard with a 980 displayed at UHD. No real complaints with it. I mean, I tried. I really genuinely tried, because I know our co-host on our Wednesday show really likes this game, and I wanted to poo-poo all over it, but I was unable. So, out of the box, no issues, at 1080p or UHD. Works like a charm. 4 chairs.
Yes, as I should have mentioned, as Strider is screaming in chat realm, this is available in Lutris if you want to pick this up and get sued by Nintendo. But on Fedora 24 with the AMD A10 5800K with the GTX 750 Ti, because I was playing this on the TV box. If you want to run this on a new version of Fedora, there's some work that definitely needs to be done. For you see, the engine that this game was built on uses a fucking old-ass version of the OpenSSL ABI, which is not supported in newer Fedora versions for good reason, i.e. the numerous number of vulnerabilities present with
deprecated?
So,
yeah.
The deprecated for good reason. So you're going to want to go to the an older version. In this case, the latest version of Fedora that supported that ABI was Fedora 17. So I grabbed the OpenSSL package. You got to extract. I have a bunch of commands in the show notes if you want to see how I did it. In short, you need a proper version of libcrypto, a proper version of libSSL, preferably 1.00i, which is the latest or the last version that supports that ABI version. Drop them in the games directory, set the LD library path to the current directory, and then launch AM2R. And after that, everything works great, unless you try playing it with some types of controllers. We'll get to that later. But on Fedora 24, it gets 2 chairs because there is quite a bit of doing involved.
And it begs the question, why is the game pulling libcrypto and libSSL if it doesn't have any type of multiplayer? But that's a question for another day. On my end, I'm running Ubuntu 1604, Ubuntu Mate 1604, with the FX8370E overclocked at 4.2 gigahertz and the GTX 1080, and it right out of the box. I didn't need to do anything, which probably speaks volumes regarding regarding how old the stuff is in Ubuntu, where it just runs out of the box, and in Fedora you need to do all of that. So for me, it gets 4 chairs.
Or just, having a bunch of very bad deprecated OpenSSL APIs enabled because, you don't want security on your Linux box. But that is 3 chairs for Makes With Working. Up next is Shiny and Sounds. Ben.
Well, you know how much we do enjoy our hipster pixel graphics here at LGC, and this did not deliver. Nay, it actually exceeded expectations, but that is in a good way for once. This is borderline hipster pixel perfection. It's a perfect example of what is possible when you target what the games actually look like versus, I played this on an emulator on, my 1080p screen, and I think that's what pixel looked like through a CRT film. No. This looks like maybe if Metroid was released on the N64 DD. Look that up. It's actually a thing.
The double E?
Yeah, the D. Oh, yes. It is kind of brilliant. It looks legit at 4K at 1080p. You sit back a bit, or you can put it right in front of your face organ. You still get the feel. I mean, the color palette's correct. The animations are just done with so much love. I mean, everything down to the arm, jump movements, the running mechanics, the Samus when she's chilling out, just like, the hell are you doing? Play with me. It's great. Sounds, it has them. They're Metroid. They're legit. Jordan is a huge fan of the pew pew pews. You can go back and check on our Twitch stream. I played a little bit of that last night. I mean, it did the job. Soundtrack is great. I think there was some talk about them releasing it as a standalone just to jam out with that. I could see that. Didn't mind it. I mean, it wasn't chiptune. It was just legit of what I would have expected it to sound like in that era. And I'm definitely going to be touching more on that later on. But Shiny and Sounds, this thing's just spot the hell on 4 chairs.
Yeah, they wanted this to look and sound like Super Metroid. They done good. Not really much I can say beyond that. It looks like a Super Nintendo game. It sounds like a Super Nintendo game that it doesn't pretend to be anything more than that. And so it hits its mark. 4 chairs.
Oh, yeah. They set out to make a game which looks and sounds like an improved version of Metroid 2. They fucking succeeded. They nailed it. When it comes to the aesthetics on this fan remake, spot the fuck on. 4 chairs.
All right, that's 4 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Up next is Control, then.
Picked it up, kind of curious because Administrator pointed out in chat, it's like, we are playing the unofficial Linux port of this game. It's like, well, all right. So I grabbed the X-Clone controller, and poked at it, and I was like, oh, things are moving. Oh, look, everything was mapped logically out of the box. Nothing really to worry about. Really, I kind of want to agree with what J-Man's going to say, with the muddy controls, but they're not muddy enough to where I have an issue with it. And I wasn't playing with the D-pad. I was playing with a hat stick, which, again, Jordan's like, I don't understand how you shoot that straight. But it was definitely a thing.
Vin Stone is a straight shooter.
Yeah, real complaint I have with it. And, maybe you want to argue with this, but when you jump, you do a jump, there is a micro freeze before you're able to run again. It is perceptible. It is there. It's a legit thing, and it annoys the ever piss out of me until I got used to it. And that's just because I had to get used to it in order to play the game because I liked it so much, but I'll tell you more about that in the fun section. For Linux, unofficial Linux port, this thing is going to get 3 chairs because I liked it. Now, to be honest, I didn't try rebinding the controls, but maybe Jordan had a different experience.
All right, so this is a bit of diatribe. I'll dive right in. So it works with the Steam controller. If you're using SC configure, you start up the daemon, you set it to present to the OS as an Xbox 360 controller, lo and behold, everything works out of the box. But as you'll discover really quickly, the positioning of the analog stick on the Steam controller is unfortunate because this game is a little sensitive when it comes to aiming up and aiming down. I've found oftentimes that when I'm just trying to walk in a straight line, I will be aiming down, which is annoying because I'll have to reseat my finger and then I'll get killed to death. So as you'll discover, this game requires a D-pad. So I figured, you know what controller has the best D-pad out there? I would say either the DualShock 3 or the DualShock 4. Sony has this lovely little patent on this little button style layout, which is fantastic for D-pads. And it does not work. I tried via Bluetooth. I tried via wired. The game does not detect it at all. So I tried the next handy controller, which was the Turbo Seizure controller. My third-party Afterglow Xbox 360 controller did not work. I actually had to go and dig out my old beat the fuck up on and raged on 360 controller that came with my Xbox 360 that I bought those many years ago. Plugged that in, lo and behold, everything was working. But the controls are, I don't know. I feel they're really muddy. There is that weird issue with the jumping. I find that aiming is problematic, even if you're using the left trigger and bumper to aim.
Then you
up
watch
and
me play
down,
it,
respectively. Yeah, and I really just want that PS4 or the DualShock 4 D-pad because it is better than the crappy one on the 360 controller. But the controls do work for what they are, so they get 2 chairs.
Yeah, no, I tried with the Logitech F310 in both X input and direct input mode. You see that little switch there? That's what switches between the two. Didn't work. I tried with the NVIDIA Shield controller. I even ran Xbox DRV to get it to just, this is an Xbox 360 controller. Nope, didn't pick up on it. I followed Jordan's recommendation on the show notes and managed to get the mistress here to work with it. But like Jordan already said, it's not ideal because you really need a physical D-pad to have any sort of precise feedback. And the little nubs here on the left areola don't really give you that. Neither does the little
you run into the same problem
stick
that you do with the analog stick, don't you?
Yeah, it's the exact same problem because even if your finger slides just a little bit off of the little depression here, all of a sudden your character is aiming down and Shamus is just aiming down. And that's...
Shamus, the drunken bounty hunter.
Samus Aran, yes. So yeah, I eventually resorted to just playing the game with the keyboard, and it was painfully obvious I wasn't having a really good time playing it, but more on that later. So for me, it gets 1 chairs on the controls.
All right, so that's 2 chairs for controls. We got our final segment, fun. Ben, did you have fun playing AM2R?
Yes, ASMR 2 was definitely a fun game. I mean, if you enjoyed the original Metroid, you know, it was the only one I ever played. I had it for NES, and I put fuckloads of time into that until, you know, just the rumor mill got around to me. It's like, type in Justin Bailey, then you could beat it in 15 minutes, then you never played it again after that. You go on to Zelda 2. This game will absolutely hook you, and it will hook you with a hardness. Giggity. However, if you didn't enjoy the original Metroid, you, sir or madam, are damaged, rendering all further of your opinions invalid. Because you don't play a game like this looking for innovation. Actually, it's quite the opposite, really. It really is. I mean, you play a remake or an homage, and you judge it accordingly. I mean, what you're looking for is the developer's ability to recapture what made those old games so fuck-mothering special. The ability to tell a story, to do a thing with such massive restraints placed on them in a game that draws its DNA from something that was on a Game Boy, granted more powerful than the original NES. Some people don't know that. This is brilliant. This is well done. You're, alright, maybe you're not into the story so much, but it's Metroid. You know what you're getting into. At least I did. This transported me. It's like, oh, I'm playing a more advanced version of the game I genuinely loved when I was like 7 years old. Just good stuff. And years ago, you're tripping on the nostalgia fumes, Vin. Vent them out and look at it objectively. And to that, I say, you know what? Peace among worlds, bitches. Peace among worlds. Because this gets 3 chairs, and it deserves it.
I agree with Ben to some extent. Remakes are a tricky genre because you really have to capture what made the game so good in the first place and then improve on it with the benefit of modern technology. I think a game that really does this well, you guys are gonna roll your eyes, but Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Gold and Silver were my favorite games in the franchise, and when they released the enhanced remakes, they were even better. They kept the exact same game. They updated the engine, they updated the game math for all your Pokemon damages and whatnot, and then they just added stuff that made it better. Your guy follows you around, there's all sorts of new side quests and stuff that's there as enhanced. I feel this game kind of misses the mark because I feel that if I would have the exact same reaction to playing this game that I would to playing the original on the Game Boy. I didn't actually have a copy of Metroid 2 for the original Game Boy, so I may be a little off the mark. Feel free to correct me or state your opinion otherwise in the hate mail segment. That's what that's there for. But it's not a bad game by any means. It's a Metroid game. If you like Metroid, this is a game that you'll enjoy. I'm not personally too keen on the genre itself. I like the ideas like of exploration and backtracking because you get stronger and you get more capable as time goes on. But I find that I just get kind of bored, like looking around, getting lost, and trying to find that one fucking item or that one secret passage that I skipped over that would have made my life so much easier. Not a bad game. I had an okay time playing it. It's not something I'd go out of my way to play, but it definitely does a good job in capturing it, the feel of the game. It feels like an updated Game Boy game with mightier controls, 2 chairs.
Yeah, I kind of get what Jordan was saying. I played a lot of Pokemon Fire Red, and I very much appreciated the new things that it introduced to the old games, like the old Pokemon Red. But this game, I have mentioned several times before that I am tired of 2D platformers. I will excuse it if it does something different like Starbreak and Salt and Sanctuary or even Awesome Knots. Each of those examples of games I just mentioned are 2D platformers, which outside of typical platforming mechanics, they add something else into the mix. Starbreak is an MMO of sorts, Salt and Sanctuary has the whole Dark Souls clone thing going for it, and Awesome Knots is a MOBA, of all things. The 2D platforming is just a stepping stone in those games for the rest of the mechanics. And I know what you're going to say. It's like, Pedro, Metroid is a classic. It was this series and others that kind of refined the platformer genre, and they basically gave birth to the Metroidvania subgenre. And I agree with you. I do. I really do. We're not throwing chairs at Metroid 2, though. We're throwing chairs at a fan remake. And this is where it really gets subjective. I can't help but feel like this would have been time better spent making a whole new game. Take the Metroidvania subgenre and the platformer mechanics if you really must, but do something original, or at the very least, different with your limited time on this planet. I used to enjoy platformers. I loved Castlevania on the Mega Drive. I loved Symphony of the Night on the PSP. I beat Alex Kidd in Miracle World on the Master System. But those were the days of technical limitations. Those platforms had severe technical limitations, which people were forced to get creative to work around. A fan remake of a Game Boy game on the PC, which adds very little of notice, is the literal antithesis of creative. In fact, I don't see why Nintendo would even waste time and money DMCAing this project, when it literally does nothing other than fuel the nostalgia-riddled people who would rather reminisce about the time when their bones didn't creak and had the brain cells to appreciate something new. So for me, it gets 1 chair.
All right, that's 2 cheers for fun because Pedro doesn't understand the purpose of remakes. And
I do.
Them. Clearly you don't. But anyways, we tally all that up, and that is 2 chairs for a M2R. God damn it, I almost fucked it up, but I didn't. I got it right. I've kept my goddamn promise. So, gentlemen, final thoughts before I fuck it up.
Yeah, man. I like the game. I think the gentlemen or carbon-based entities, whatever they cisgendered, carbon-based. I don't know how that works these days. Yells at cloud. Spent like 5+ years on this. I mean, it took forever to come out, and a lot of betas came out. This is a good game. I'm going to continue playing this. I want to beat this game. That is not something I get to say very often for a fan-inspired project of this type. And yeah, Nintendo, pull your head out of the ass and hire this person and quit being so pissy because they made something that you were no longer capable of fucking making. Hey, hashtag Metroid level maker.
Yeah, if you enjoyed Metroid and Metroid 2 and haven't yet grown tired of people wasting their time dwelling on the past instead of doing something new and creative, and fueling the whole Kickstarter culture that we have right now, you'll probably enjoy this. But if you're completely jaded and cynical as I am, it's probably safe to give this one a miss.
It's a Metroid game. If you like Metroid, you'll like the game. That's really all I can say about it. Coming up next, X gonna give it to you.
Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to that teeny tiny last bit of the show where we address the hate mail we've received over the week. If you'd like to get in touch with us and you see the video posted on YouTube, Patreon, what have you, you can leave us a comment there, or you can go to LinuxGameCast.com, hit the contact button, fill out the form. It's pretty easy. You only have to do a little captcha thing at the bottom. If you want to leave us some hate mail for LGC Weekly, make sure to pick that from the little Dropboxy thing Ven's got going on there. Or if you want to give some feedback towards Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, that show that we do in the middle of the week. Insane, right? You can do that too. But we have some, well, I don't want to say hate mail, but we have some manner of things happening.
We have
this
some
week.
mail.
Yes. So Nemo actually, this came from Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, as I mentioned. Earlier in the week, we were talking about, after the show was done, whether how Jordan had configured his X server. So he says, I heard on LWDW that Jordan runs 2 X servers to allow for some of his monitors to be 4K and others not. You did not hear at all what I said.
Well, you know what? Let me set the record straight. This is about
How about we just finish
crazy
asking
setup.
the question first, Missy?
Yes. Could you create a tutorial on how to do that? I run OpenSUSE, but I bet I could translate them from Fedora. Would you have to alter the systemd graphical target? Nemo.
No, you do not. All right, so let me put this on the record. I've made this correction a few times, but here's the official spiel. I do not run 2 X servers. I think that is a stupid idea. When we brought up that one story a couple weeks ago, or this was like years ago now, where it was for running a distinct X server to run your games, I thought that because it would make them go faster, I thought it was an idiotic idea, and I still do now. No, what I do is I have 2 X screens running, one of which is twin view, the other which is just dedicated to a single video card. And that allows me to have 2 monitors in portrait mode and some weird configuration, and the 4K, which is treated as a completely separate X screen. So that is the clarification. There's no altering systemd. There's not even that much fucking around in the in the xorg.conf. You can do it all through the NVIDIA settings GUI, which is what I
So
did.
ultimately, I think the question is, I mean, yeah, you want to tap on that, because I remember when you told me that, my first question to you was like, how fucking hard was it? But it looks like, so to run 2 separate video cards and kind of dedicate that out, I mean, difficulty level...
Difficulty level, not particularly high. If I would rate it from 1 to 10, I'd maybe say 3 or 4, just because you need the bit of foreknowledge that unless you're running Zynorama and want some weird, crazy setup that eats a ton of system resources, it usually goes 1 X screen per video card. Although you can always increase that. Don't try and run 1 X screen over multiple video cards. You will have a bad time. So up next is the full Monty. So this is from Mark, and he says, hi Mark, by the way.
Hi,
he
Mark.
says, I mean, a 4, a 5.
Hit her.
is that an A? I can't tell. A 5 and root plus and a 3+ hour videos on the same day? Really? Do you want to replace the TV? Yes.
Yes, Mark.
Also,
hang me on your wall like one of your French girls.
Like,
you know, you can take that stupid
I thought it was like one of
and
your,
shove it in your
Roman
pocket.
citizens.
No, man. I mean, yeah, because you know, I finally got around to like getting caught up with our current episodes, and released all that business on the YouTube. So yes, we did put out like 12 to 15 hours of Linux Gamecast in one day. So if you have that much alcohol,
Or one of
Oh,
those
you can
Clockwork
get through
Orange
it.
chairs, you might want to check that out.
yeah,
Yeah, if you're just playing games and you need something, you know, people are people yammering on in the background, you could totally do that.
Much like what Pedro was doing just then and there.
Yes, I was
But
just.
up But up next, this is a bit of a mouthful. Then, do you want to summarize?
fuck no.
All right, so this is from Miguel, and this is a bit of a rambler. He tries to touch on a few subjects, mainly that you can run some AAA games using Play on Linux, which we know. Something about AMD's new Zen CPUs for playing games at 1080p. Again, stuff we already know. And then something about adding retro games to Steam, which has actually already been sort of done. You can buy Sonic games or the old Genesis packages on Steam, and they do support Linux.
Mm-hmm.
And the last bit, which is I think is the most interesting bit, is he's talking about how Linux has to be attractive to a consumer, maybe by tossing a cutesy mascot. What, you don't like Tux? Or
you don't like Cocaine Voltron?
he's the best. The children love him. They put him in his lunchbox.
No, the one thing is like, but we new Linux users, I mean, that's great. I mean, you're not a filthy dual booting heathen. You can play your AAA titles and all that, and then you kind of get into some of the classic games, which I did kind of peep back. This was on the YouTubes, I believe. This one came to us via, and I was like, part of the Linux Gamecast Weekly crew develops this little thing called Lutras that lets you do all the stuff like that. And he was like, oh, didn't know. Cool. So I think we're all in agreement. Pedro?
I had, as a non-native English speaker, I am usually more aware to the troubles that some people have when, talking in a language which is not their
Lord,
native.
this is going to be a cripple fight. All right, go ahead.
No. I had no freaking clue what the hell he was on about. I saw your reply on YouTube about the whole Lutris thing, and I can sort of see where you addressed that, but what about the rest of it? Because Jordan, we were talking about in between the segments, and Jordan said that, oh yeah, no, this is just
Pedro, if we read this out loud and somebody plays it back at 2x speed, it will open the gates of fucking hell. So no.
I thought
it's a
that
brain
if you
dump.
played that in 2x speed in reverse. Or does that just tell you that Chicago
it's like the stream of consciousness, Miguel's stream of consciousness, just dumped into an entire comment on YouTube. I mean, thanks,
Pedro,
I guess.
as I told you before, if you are expecting essay quality English from YouTube, you need to find yourself a nice, concrete, boring drill and eat the bit.
Or the
Sounds
business
tasty.
end. Even. Because on that bombshell, let's cue the music. You can always find us around 9:30 Eastern Time. Type that into the Googles, throw an Athens on it, you might find us. It will be amazing. I'm at Vinstone on the Twitter nets. Scream at me there, add me there, plus Vinstone. On the G pluses, and always, we do have youtube.com/Linux Gamecast. Help us out there. Like and subscribe. I've just always wanted to say that because it sounds so creepy and I love it. But it does help us out. And throw us some hate mail.
I'm Jordan Svung. You can find me putting all sorts of power tools and all sorts of exciting holes in my body at The Burning Fool on Twitter, or plus Jordan Svung on Google+.
I don't really have a self-exploratory sexual relationship with myself, so
That's
you can just
unfortunate.
find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I guess at the end of the day, we do have to realize that one special thing is YouTube comments, right?
YouTube comments are YouTube comments. Very, very succinct then.
Well, they're definitely not Facebook comments.
Lies! I don't know, dude. Did we ever? We have a Facebook page, by the way.
Yeah, we do.
Oh yeah, that Facebook thing. I forgot it exists.
It's
but yeah,
there.
we have one of those.
Technically, show it some love. LGC cares.
5 dudes.